Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode with iTrack. Big shout out to all the iTrack fan man on this beautiful Sunday. And as you know, today is the catch up. Big shout out to all my new subscribers. We have a new episode and one of the greats to catch all the new subscribers up. If this is your first time here, what we like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy TikToks and kind of evaluate for ourselves whether these are fact or fake. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me, smash that subscribe button, and join the iTrack fam. And without any further ado, let's just jump right into it.
I found this crazy video on the Byrd app, and what it's showing is a giant wall of ice under Antarctica. And this wall of ice seems to be going to the very bottom of the ocean, but also running underneath the sand. I do wonder why this video is not more public than it should be. You know, you figure they find these giant walls that all of science would know. And by the way, look at the color of this so-called wall of ice. It looks very similar to something that's above our head. And in coming across that video, it reminded me a ton of Admiral Byrd's expedition to Antarctica and the footage we have of that, which most people aren't even aware of. The only way you even come across is if you looked really heavily into it. But there was like crazy tall ice that they had to literally do a high jump to get onto. I'm gonna fast forward right now because they literally had hundreds of miles of just a giant wall of ice. I wonder why we're not taught about this stuff in geography.
But as 2024 ends and 2025 begins, I have a feeling that a lot of conspiracy theories will either be put to bed or brought to the light.
The national milk supply must be tested for bird flu according to a new federal order today by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Bulk milk transporters and dairy processors have to collect and share samples with the USDA upon request. The initial round of testing will begin on December 16th.
I mean, they're worried about the bird flu, but as much hormones and testosterone that they pump into these cows, they need to be worried about that.
On a popular household cleaner, Fabuloso. The recall is pulling more than 4 million bottles off store shelves.
Stems from a type of bacteria called Pseudomonas.
Fabuloso is known for providing 2 times the cleaning strength, but you may get more than you bargained for.
Yes, this is a cleaning product. It's not designed to have those bacteria in it. There was a mistake made.
The professor says there are different types of pseudomonas that can lead to serious infections when inhaled.
One in particular is the species is aeruginosa, and there's another is fluorescens. Can be a very bad pathogen, particularly to people who are immunocompromised.
If you clean your countertops with this inside, Dr. Spratt says you may end up spreading the germ around your home.
Somebody puts it into a spray bottle, that would generate an aerosol, and Pseudomonas aeruginosa in particular can cause very bad respiratory tract infections.
Dr. Spratt says a cystic fibrosis patient with the disorder could die.
Hey, whoever messed that up at the factory should be put in jail. Like, how do you mess a household cleaner up, especially Fabulous, right? You plan on doing a super cleaning your house, but you're actually doing the complete opposite. That's crazy.
Each time that the planet is destroyed, the sun is destroyed. Usually the planet is destroyed due to civilization not living in synchronicity with the divine. Breaking the divine rules and the divine laws means that the planet will be destroyed. The sun could be the thing that's destroying the planets because the planet is not behaving, humanity is not behaving, civilizations are not behaving the way that they were intended to behave according to divine order. So each time that the earth is destroyed, the sun is destroyed. Meaning the earth has been destroyed and rebirthed 5 times, which means that we've had 5 suns. The 5th one is being destroyed now, meaning the earth as we know it, the world as we know it is being destroyed. Catastrophe. In order for the birth of a new earth to take place, as you can see, the old power structure is falling. Again, this is symbolic of this latest timeline shift, timeline jump that a lot of people are talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, now we know why all the wealthy people got bunkers, right?
I'm involved in a secret society, bro. Like, who's gonna know the most about the elite? The people that they pay to keep them safe.
He told the feds that Diddy poisoned him, and right after that, a video came out where Jamie Foxx is at the gas station, and they're asking Jamie Foxx to comment on it, and he won't say nothing.
Right. Now, you know, he could have easily just said no. But he didn't.
I can't say it.
Because it was his daughter and his mom who reported to the feds who he was poisoned by and what happened. You see what I'm saying? And he said it out of his mouth in his own comedy special. I knew about this because, you know, bro, I'm involved in a secret society, bro. Like, who's going to know the most about the elite? The people that they pay to keep them safe. You see what I'm saying? So the fact that when I'm speaking out, my sources are guys that's just like me. So the fact that I stepped out and I'm speaking, they behind me here, bro. And I'm going to fact check my sources before I say anything, you feel me? And to this day, there has not been one person to come out and challenge me on the validity of anything I have said.
That little lion ass got up there twerking for America and then turned around with a karaoke band and started dancing and acting stupid and turning into snakes and shit and gobbling up little Tory Lanes everywhere. Why the f do we want her? Mega Man.
Mega.
That's what I call Megan Thee Stallion now.
Okay.
I call her Mega Man. Everybody knows that girl fucking lied about getting shot. Everybody knows. And there's a young black man sitting in jail for a crime
Free Tory. Oh, my mama. Yeah.
Meanwhile, he got caught up in the middle of a freak off. He gets brought there by the Hollywood Grim Reaper, Corey Gamble. They getting him drunk. They probably slipped some of that 2C in his drink. And then he's sitting there with Mega Man. He's 5'5". She's 6'8" with he anyway. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about Eddie Murphy and Della Reese in Harlem Nights. Yeah. When Della got on that ass and it got too much, his little ass got up. He got that gun and he shot her in the foot. And everybody laughed. One of the funniest moments in the movie. Why didn't nobody laugh when they was blaming Tory for it? Because the situation ain't no different. The dimensions damn near the same.
No bullshit.
So little nigga, it's a big
right.
And they fighting him while he's high and drunk. They mad that he was about to fuck a Kardashian. We was finna both of y'all.
As time draws near and as these entities become less and less covert, they don't just come out at night. They can come out kind of anytime they want to now, as people who have seen the Hat Man and various things will attest. And as we get more and more into the quantum age, these things will probably be more before our very eyes than having to be dependent upon altered states of consciousness as they have been dependent upon in the past.
So she basically saying you won't need mushrooms anymore to go speak to those aliens, right? I think that's what she's saying. Let me know what you think.
Have you ever heard of the dog-headed man? It starts 4,000 years ago. There's a race of hybrid humans that is a man's body with a literal dog head. Found it in Libya, carved onto these boulders. It was first written about by a Greek philosopher. Greeks have written about it. The Romans have written about it. Alexander the Great, Marco Polo, Christopher Columbus, St. Augustine. All these explorers and missionaries throughout history have all written about dog-headed men. The earliest writings from the Greek philosopher, he went and was exploring India, and deep in the mountains there was these dog-headed men, and he said that they were brutal and they would capture people and then eat them. But then as time goes on, like Alexander the Great talks about battling a tribe of dog-headed men. He said that they would talk to each other by barking. There's a story of King Arthur, and he claimed to have fought and beat a dog-headed men army in the mountains surrounding Edinburgh.
I mean, how do they come to an existence?
From the Book of Enoch, where it talks about the fallen angels, the Watchers, making hybrids of human, animal, beast. Yeah.
And you know what? Come to think about it, the first time I ever seen a dog-headed man was on a hieroglyph. So they really date back as far as Egyptian pyramids.
When did the Chinese land on the moon?
I have no idea.
2013. Did you ever see the video?
No.
So the Chinese landed on the moon in 2013, and they released a video for it, But pretty quick, that video was taken down, and they said, no, it's just a joke, because it was so bad. It was so fake. Because they didn't have, Kubrick, You need a better production staff and better cameras if you guys want to fake this.
The sad thing is, you cannot fix stupidity, and that's what's happening here.
Cognitive dissonance is probably exactly what it is. They've been in echo chambers for so long, that's all they have. Well, we did it as a society, For how many, even when you're in grade school, and they give you the globe, or they talk about the man on the moon, all the stuff they teach you in grade school, about stuff that I could challenge right now, They teach us a lot of stuff that we hear over and over and over again that we take it for granted. That's what happened. I don't want to do this anymore, because I don't believe what you guys are peddling on either side. But I do get a kick out of Tucker because he has pretty good humor and he does come up with some good points sometimes to make me think. I don't believe what he says just because he says it. He makes me think about some stuff. And then I have to go research and I figure some stuff out and I find it out on my own. And that's what everybody should be doing. But nobody does that because we live in like this McDonald's fast food society.
Nah, I totally resonate with that clip because I've always been that way. I never just believe anything just because somebody said it. I had to go seek the truth out for myself. And I encourage everybody to do the same thing. Don't just take anybody's word for it. Go look it up for yourself.
People are shocked after finding out that Subway don't actually use bread for their sandwiches. Check this out. In a decision shocking to those familiar with the popular footlong at Subway, an Irish Supreme Court have ruled that Subway bread isn't actually bread. In Subway's bread recipe, sugar makes up 10% of the weight of the flour, and the law doesn't deem that as acceptable. In other words, the Irish Supreme Court found out that Subway's bread is legally closer to cake than it is actual bread. So, in other words, because Subway bread has so much sugar, technically it's actually classed as confectionery. People are even more shocked that a 6-inch sub and just the bread contains between 3 and 5 grams of sugar, and then a footlong will contain between 9 and 11 grams of sugar. Now, in my personal opinion, I definitely will not be eating Subway after finding out these results, but a lot of people will still eat Subway, but due to the cost of living crisis, it is getting more and more expensive, the reports have found. So people, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you still eat Subway after finding out that the bread is technically a cake or confectionery? I don't think I'm going to eat it anymore after finding out that.
Hey, that's not even half as bad as the first story I heard, right? The first story I heard was that the bread was closer to yoga mats. So the fact that it might be closer to cake than bread, I'll take that. I mean, I don't really eat Subway like that, but it's better than the latter, right?
A woman named Lexi woke up from a nightmare, only to find out followed her into reality.
I don't know if you guys can know, I've never had a dream like this before. And then what happened after is just fucking, I'm about to puke. So anyways, we were laughing, ha ha ha, everything's fine. I got good vibes, and all of a sudden, they all look at me, and they're just lifeless. There's at least 30 people in the room, okay? And they all look at me, and they're like this. And I got the most sick feeling. And all of a sudden, for some reason, I was wearing this cross in my dream. I go like this, and I start to grip my cross. And I'm just like, and then the person that I was talking to, he goes, why are you doing that? And he was just like, why are you scared? And then this is where I knew it was demonic. Because just basically saying that God doesn't exist. He was like, what do you think he's gonna do for you? You think God even exists? You think he's gonna, and then it was gonna tell me at the end that God doesn't exist. And I just I've never been able to grip this cross in my dream. And I just backed up. And then I started praying to God. And then I felt myself being lifted up. Lifted. Everything just disappeared. It happened right after, and then I fucking woke up. So anyways, I was like, oh my God. I've never had such a spiritual dream like that. And I went in the kitchen because I was so fucking terrified. And I just said, I rebuke anything in the name of Jesus that is not meant to be in this house. I rebuke anything. Right after I said that, I heard 3 knocks on my front door. And I looked outside, and nobody was fucking there. And it was late, okay? It was. And so after that, I was like, oh my God, whatever I casted out of my house was it got casted out.
I just want to know, what kind of inebriation was she on before she went to sleep and after she woke up? Not to invalidate anything that she's saying, I just want to know.
Everything in your life you have manifested. The question is, will you learn how to tap into that process? In other words, concentrate on those thoughts or moods which you deliberately determine. then those things that now restrict you will fade and drop away. The day you achieve control of the movements of your attention in the subjective world, you are master of your fate. You will no longer accept the dominance of outside conditions or circumstances. You will not accept life on the basis of the world without. Having achieved control of the movements of your attention, and having discovered the mystery hid from the ages, that Christ in you is your imagination, you will assert the supremacy of imagination and put all things in subjection to it.
We are not in 2024. The word month comes from moon, because a month is a 28-day lunar cycle. 365 divided by 28 is 13. We have 13 lunar cycles every year. Where is the missing month? This is where it gets crazy. We don't know what year we are truly in, people. The fluids in our body are in cycle with the moon. That's why women have a menstruation cycle every 28 days. The ancients would never eat anything on a full moon, and they would do rituals. Maybe they did this to keep us out of sync with the celestial bodies, because they hold influence over our consciousness.
You ever heard of the story, the Epic of Gilgamesh? The story was written 2000 BC. The story talks about how he was 2/3 God and 1/3 man. And the claim was that he was 17 feet tall, and he was this brutal king, like just mean, like a tyrant. The story goes that he was buried under the Euphrates River.
That's drying up.
Well, here's the thing. In 2003, a archaeologist by the name of Jörg Fassbinder, he was in the Mesopotamia area doing like the whole LiDAR thing. What he said is, I have found the tomb of Gilgamesh.
Oh my gosh.
Guess what happened 1 month later? The US invades Iraq.
Oh my gosh!
This is where it gets crazy.
Yeah.
All the archaeological sites were then stopped in Iraq, so stop digging. They kicked out all the scientists. They wouldn't allow any media who were there to cover the story anymore. But the locals around this encampment reported that the US military were digging at night, taking things out of the ground and putting them onto trucks and driving them off.
Yeah, that sounds pretty on point with what the US likes to do, right?
Jada Pinkett has written a book where she reveals that multiple times she tried to commit suicide.
I don't know why she keeps trying. She just get it done. Don't be bad at everything. You was an all right actress. You was a terrible wife. You was a bad mother. Who knew that your husband was doing things to boys and did stuff to your son and you ain't do shit about it? Bilal told me everything. Bilal told me, Jada, he told me that you knew Will was f***ing your child. Yes, he did. Wonder why he left that out of his Tasha K interview. He said everything but the thing that was important. That he know that Will Smith, Jaden, Bashir, and he Neat Mills, and you know it, Bilal.
She hasn't been sued yet. Isn't that crazy?
This is wild. A notorious Colombian hit woman known as The Doll was just arrested by police yesterday for several high-profile hits, including her ex-boyfriend. And no, none of you in the comments can fix her. It's reported that 23-year-old Karen Rodriguez was labeled as highly dangerous by police and that she was in the midst of a career expansion, leading a small team of hitmen conducting a spree of you-know-what in the region prior to her arrest. And after her capture went viral online, people pointing out how much she looks like actor Aubrey Plaza are now calling for a movie to be made and for her to star as the doll character.
用锤子把它敲敲裂，然后拿起来，把这个带。 手这么重。这是什么长法？上学啊你？画个最简单的给大家看一下啊。2层力度。平砸落地。打火到两，在木头上，没有第二个人能做到。打一下，这是娱乐。
Hey, there was no cap detected there, man. There are people that can actually do that. But if you don't think so, let me know in the comments.
Remember this, is that people are time wasters, and the great majority of people have no goals, they have no priorities, they have no plans, they have no concern about becoming successful, and they think that you're the same. They think because their time isn't worth anything, that your time isn't worth anything also.
Hey, big facts.
Look at this old bell that they just digged up, y'all. This right here is in South Carolina. This bell weighs almost 560 pounds alone. Of course, they had to use one of the Tonka toys in order to dig it out of the earth because no man can lift that on its own. But you guys do know what bells were used for, right? You guys do know why we don't see them anymore, right? Why we don't hear them anymore. Remember we used to hear them all the time? Just take a look at all these bells over here. This was in the early 1900s. They gathered almost 170,000 bells all together and they destroyed them. Like over here. When bells are rung, they emit a powerful frequency and vibration that dispel negative energies, which in case promotes healing, health, wealth, abundance. Not to mention they ward off negative entities, parasites within you and around you. This is why big bells and certain bells were housed in churches, because churches was actually a place that you can go to heal thyself. Do you guys remember Spider-Man and Venom? Look at this scene over here when Spider-Man tries to release the Venom, the symbiote, the parasite. Y'all see how he rung the bell? And as soon as he rung the bell, the parasite, the symbiote, which is venom because it's in his veins, venom, started coming off. And then started finding its way down to Eddie, which is the...
A lot of it is it that you're doing at Amazon?
AI. Yeah, so I mean there are a few things, but small, but it's 95% AI.
And where do you think...
It's just so, because we're literally working on 1,000 applications internally. So AI, you have to remember, AI, modern AI, is a horizontal enabling layer. It can be used to improve everything. It will be in everything. This is most like electricity. These kind of horizontal layers, like electricity and compute and now artificial intelligence, they go everywhere. I guarantee you there is not a single application that you can think of that is not going to be made better by AI.
Once again, old Hollywood is creepy as fuck. Did you know, in 1971, a movie by the name of The Beguiled, starring Clint Eastwood, did this.
Amelia, but everybody calls me Amy.
I'm Corporal John McBurney, but everybody calls me McB. How old are you, Amy?
12. 13 in September.
Old enough for kisses.
Oh, what? So you mean to tell me everybody on the set, the directors, the producers, writers, everybody thought this was okay? I mean, this is why I do these audits, you guys, because looking back into the past, we gotta check a lot of this shit. So this movie was about a wounded soldier in the Civil War, and he finds refuge in an isolated girls' school. Then it says he becomes the object of the young woman's fantasies in the school. This whole plot screams PDF file. So the young actress at the time, Pamela Ferdin, she said she was only 11 when that kiss happened. And that kiss wasn't even in the script. She said she wasn't expecting it because it wasn't in the script and was supposed to just be covering her mouth. But she found out later the director told Clint Eastwood to do it because it would be more provocative. They said they used that first take because of her stunned expression, which was real, was perfect. Sorry, but what universe is an old man kissing an 11-year-old girl perfect? Make sure you guys hit up my YouTube because I'm going to be doing more breakdowns and more audits.
Before I ran across that clip, I had all the respect in the world for Clint Eastwood. And after that clip, none at all. That's the wildest thing I've seen. A lot of people that see what's going on in Hollywood now think it's relatively new, but it definitely is not. Go check that guy's work out. He left his link in the video. Craziness.
If you were to bring up the Richat structure from space, it's like no other place on Earth. It is a mysterious sight, the most consequential similarities to what Plato had described as the lost ancient city of Atlantis. It's made up of concentric circles. It specifically matches 3 of water and 2 of land. It's made up of red, black, white color stones. It also has an opening at the south. There's mountains to the north, which just so happen to be called the Atlas Mountains, which are in modern day Morocco.
It's also covered in salt.
Yes, the water was there.
You imagine that this thing just gets a little better than it is, which is inevitable. That it's going to make actual insight that much harder to spot, right? In other words, if you become expert at operating this thing, at querying it, and it becomes better at understanding a wider range of topics because they turn it loose on everything that's written on the internet, for example, right? Then the point is the ability to fake expertise is going to go through the roof. I don't think we know how we're going to police a world in which, I mean, this problem's already bad enough. Most academics are fakers. They don't know that, right? They trained in something, they wrote a dissertation, they think they're experts, but you can see when something unexpected happens, like the pandemic, you get just broad-scale failure across entire disciplines where nobody seems to get it right? So in that world, this is going to be even worse because now you have an artificial intelligence able to generate things in plain English that are often full of true information, but you don't know whether what generated it is some, brain-dead model or something else. That's one concern. And then the other concern is when we say, well, ChatGPT doesn't know what it's saying. It's not conscious. We know it's not conscious because it's not programmed to have a consciousness. We are actually ignoring the other half of the story, which is that we don't know how human consciousness works, and we don't know how it develops in a child, right? A child is exposed to a world of adults talking around them, and the child experiments first with phonemes and then words and then clusters of words and then sentences. And by doing something that isn't all that far from what ChatGPT is doing, it ends up becoming a conscious individual. And so I think it's clear that ChatGPT isn't conscious. It couldn't be. But it isn't clear, to me at least, that we are not suddenly stepping onto a process that produces that very quickly without us even necessarily knowing it.
He just made an incredibly great point. Kids from the ages from 1, I would say even up to 10, right? Blank slates. They don't know anything. So what they're looking at, what they're learning from that period of time, that's what it is. ChatGPT right now is in that infant stage of learning and taking all the data that it can. And who's to say it doesn't turn into one thing or another later on? That's wild.
You say to me you should respect people. I always respect people. I would disrespect you if I lied to you. I'm not going to call a man a woman. I'm not going to call a woman a man. I'm not going to say sorry for telling the truth.
Your beliefs.
It's not my belief. A woman cannot be a man, and a man cannot be a woman. It's not a belief.
But I'm saying in your perception of the world is different from someone else's perspective, because just as emphatic as you are, that you believe what you just said, there's someone that believes emphatically the opposite.
Okay, so what you're talking about is the idea that everything can be subjective and there's no such thing as truth. And let me tell you why that. But that's why it's either a yes or a no.
No, because we're either talking about feelings or facts.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I believe there is objective truth. Okay.
Okay.
A person that is born a man, okay, a person that is born with a P, as we call it, okay, cannot ever grow up and give birth. Do we agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so there is such thing as an objective truth. I will not apologize for sharing objective truth. I'm not going to apologize for not saying because his feelings are hurt and do you see how I feel? Because
so you have no problem going throughout the world hurting people's feelings.
I have no problem going out the world. That's one way to pitch it. Telling people the truth so that they can better their lives. So they can live in reality and not the one, not the fantasy land that they're creating for their lives. But what if someone
believes that is a better life for them?
Okay, well, let's play it your way then. Let's do it the other way. There are a group of people who are now referring to themselves as minor attracted people.
Oh, I knew you was going. Can't go there.
Hey, but that's what they believe. They believe that they are in love and want to have sex with children. They believe that, Nick. They believe it. And are you going to apologize when you call them pedophiles? Are you going to apologize, Nick? Are you going to have them on your podcast?
That's a hell of
Don't you understand how they feel on the inside when you say that they can't have 8-year-olds?
That is a hell of a point.
It is. The slippery slope is not a fallacy. It is reality. We are living the slippery slope. So somebody's going to have to produce the wall. There's going to be a lot of voices that need to be objective and tell people the truth. I'm very happy to be those voices. If you're looking for me to, make you feel good, I can't be your mommy. I can't. That's why I tell people, I can't be your mommy.
But see, that's what I say. It's
okay, I'm not your mommy. You're not a toddler. You're an adult.
But see,
this is what truth is. And if you can't deal with truth, then you're going to have a very tough life, way tougher than having to listen to Candace Owens say, you are a man on the internet. You cannot feel compassion for lies, especially because they have become what they're doing now is they're wielding compassion as a sword to pass through everything that they want done. And like I said, you were going to blink and compassion is going to end up with minor attracted peoples. Compassion is going to mean we can no longer call them pedophiles. That is what is going to happen. It is what is happening.
Can't let that happen.
We are barreling toward that. We are barreling toward that. It's so obvious because they would rather tell a lie than risk offending someone.
You know what? I definitely have to take my hat off for Candace. She is saying the absolute truth. People can believe what they want to believe, but at the end of the day, the truth is what the truth is going to be. There's no way to distort it, bend it, or break it. It is what it is. And Nick Cannon definitely had to swallow that pill, because he was trying to dance around it and act like, things aren't what they are. But even at the end of that conversation, he had to keep it real with himself, because the truth will always come through at the end of the day.
I do think that there is a link between what we call psychic phenomena, telepathy, or psionics, as is the more neutral term that's used by the military and the defense community. I do believe that there is a connection between human psionic abilities, telepathic, psychic abilities, and consciousness, and that the UAP phenomenon is tied into that. And I suspect this is one of the largest reasons for why this is being kept secret and for why the NHI are not overtly showing themselves. And my growing hypothesis, it's just a hypothesis, because there's a few things I can't tell you right now that I'm going to be reporting on in coming weeks, and I'm very excited to be bringing you that story. But I do know that the Air Force has been working on psionics for many, many decades. They never stopped investigating the power of the human mind and consciousness ever since the Stargate program and the remote viewing program. I know it's been poo-pooed. I know there's a George Clooney movie based on John Ronson's book called The Men Who Stare at Goats. And I know all the supposed debunkers say it's BS. But I can tell you, it's not BS. I've seen it for myself, and it's real. And in forthcoming weeks, you will see why I say it's real. And I believe the United States Air Force has knowingly deceived Congress, successive presidents, and the American public, and the world about what it knows for far too long. It's time for this story to be told. I think the NHI are showing themselves in our skies to twig our consciousness, to make us humans aware of capabilities that many of us don't even realize we have. And I've seen those capabilities demonstrated in recent months. I know they're real, and I frankly don't give a flying fig what the debunkers or the skeptics or the trolls would say about that. It's real, and they will soon be eating humble pie. The capacity for the human mind to engage externally with some kind of uber consciousness has been speculated about in science. Go and have a look at the the work on microtubules. Let's have a look at what modern science is speculating about a quantum connection between the human brain and an external consciousness. That's where we're going in this. So what if UAPs are merely a manifestation of something that is above and around us, a consciousness? Some might call it God. Yeah, I know, this is heavy stuff. But what if the purpose of its engagement with the human race is to slowly twig our awareness and to encourage us to use abilities that we don't even know we have? I'm very interested in hearing from people who were part of the GATE program 20 to 30 years ago, who found themselves in rooms with US Air Force officers and strange psychologists in white lab coats, showing them on occasion strange, apparently non-human objects. Yes, this has been happening. Young kids, prepubertal kids, have been misused in experimentation by our military in experiments designed to develop an understanding of how to engage with the phenomenon, with a consciousness. And I think at the same time that NHI consciousness is trying to engage with humanity individually. I've spoken to so many people. I had a message this morning from one person who's an very senior US Air Force person working in a very sensitive area, who told me that they had psychic abilities and they'd never spoken about it, but when they told me about their sighting of a gigantic craft, I said to them, by any chance, do you have psychic abilities? Have you ever had an intuition or a precognition? And they said they were very moved by my question because they'd never really spoken about it, but yes, they have.
I'm not too sure what to think about that GATE program, because I knew somebody that was actually in that program, and it wasn't all that deep, really. And a lot of the smartest people that are making a difference in society today come from a program called Mensa, right? The people that went to that GATE program, I'm not too sure what that was about. I really don't.
Yourself, why would the Pope put a live streaming camera inside of the tomb of Lucifer on Christmas Day? Well, that's next on the trumpet. The Masons and the Pope are going to open the holy door. First, the Pope is going to tap on it with a little silver hammer, and then the Masons are going to remove the bricks and mortar that actually seal the holy door shut. He does his knocking, and then the Masons start chanting one of the Psalms. It's never been done before, and they're going to start this new tradition on Christmas Eve. So the World Wide Web will have symbolic access to St. Peter's tomb on Christmas Eve as they open the holy door. And that's going to mark the beginning of the Jubilee year. The Catholic Church got the whole Jubilee idea from Judaism. And in Leviticus 25, it tells you all about the special year that's focused on restoration and forgiveness. The word Jubilee in Hebrew means Yovel, which is a ram's horn. And yes, that is a trumpet. In Leviticus right here, it tells you that the sound of the trumpet announced the beginning of the Jubilee year. So you might say, it's the year of the trumpets. And keeping things in order with the book of Revelation, we'll go through the seals, then the trumpets, and then the bowls. Open the door, it's the year of the trumpets. For Christians, Jesus' declaration in the book of Luke to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor was often interpreted as a fulfillment of the Jubilee spirit. Wow, I just can't wait for Christmas to get my webcam view of the creepy crypt that's underneath St. Peter's Basilica. And that's not a wax museum down there. And as of December 5th, the Vatican hasn't even released a Christmas message. You know when you're the 33rd degree, you wear 33 buttons on your gown. King David ruled Jerusalem for 33 years, and the Masons built him a palace on top of Mount Zion, the mountain of God, where he issued judgment over the people. A webcam in a tomb under the altar of a church of the dragon. That dragon right there. That dragon. It's a flying dragon. This is right over the entrance of the door. Those dudes were all about it. 2024. Year of the dragon. You can see the dragon in the crest. He wears a tiara, and the swarm comes out of his mouth. This throne, made for somebody about 20 foot tall, sits right in front of that tomb's opening. That throne is right there, and you can see how tiny all these people are in comparison to it.
The Pope live streaming on Christmas. I'm going to show up just to see what's going on.
Have you heard the scary breaking news out of Washington and Oregon? Well, Northern Oregon to be specific. They are finding these parasitic creature critters in the water in the whole state of Washington and parts of Oregon, as I mentioned. This is a high concentration of them, of what they look like. But typically, if you turn on your faucet, there's only a few of them in your glass, and they'll cling to the bottom or to the side, so you don't notice them. But people are drinking them up without noticing. And scientists don't know what they are. They've never seen them before. But so far they show that they're harmless. They see that when they get to the stomach, they get into the bloodstream and make their way up to the brain, where they hang out and drink just a little bit of blood to nourish themselves. But it's not going to hurt the human. It's a little bit of blood, but they don't know long term what the effects are. And so they're going to follow them closely and see. But I'm curious, those from Washington and Northern Oregon, have you seen them in your water? Are you buying store-bought water? How is the general public doing with this?
Definitely check your water, check your cups. Those things look like they can be mistaken for pretty much anything.
Have you ever wondered why?
Of this man at like a press conference kind of thing, and he was at one point like pretty high ranked, or like made it pretty high up in the Air Force. He was some sort of like electrical engineer, and he was telling this story about 30 years ago. He was brought into this group for NASA there's something going on with their lunar satellite. It like wasn't receiving. He walked into this room and there was scientists from all over the world. He's like, this is strange for NASA to have scientists from all over the world. And then he was debriefed by this one guy. He said the guy, when he was presenting this stuff, he was like kind of nervous, and he's like, these are pictures that we have from the dark side of the moon.
They have pictures?
There's a base camp on the dark side of the moon, and he was showing pictures of all these buildings, mushroom-shaped buildings. He said it's top secret. And so like he came out and was like, I've been waiting for them to talk about this news for 30 years and they haven't done it yet, and I hope by me saying this, they'll bring that out.
That were to be true, that would change everything.
He
That would be so.
He said it was a massive
scary.
base camp.
When I was in the Antarctic base and I was going through the hallways, I could feel, so it was like these like rounded cement hallways, like so deep underground, all cement. And I could feel like the cool dampness of the air, which I've never experienced, like actually having a visceral experience. But man, what they're doing in that base, essentially what I saw was people basically strapped down to beds in rooms. And what it looked like, they were really all deformed. And it looked like they were doing experimentation to make some sort of like super soldier.
Whoa.
Like that was basically the vibe, but the experimentation was more so genetic experimentation, not necessarily with all on planet genetics, if that makes sense. So they were using like other forms of extraterrestrial genetics to try and create sort of this human hybrid super soldier. And once again, it was just a lot of just low energy, torturous sort of vibes.
I definitely believe that's happening, but I wonder how she was able to see it. She must have been using that remote viewing that we've seen so much on my channel. People talk about so much.
They casually mentioned that the Earth is flat, that they hide crash landings so that they could study and recreate the vehicles used, and that a good portion of birds are actually government surveillance. And this was all said on the record. Conspiracy theorists have been talking about the surveillance birds for like 5, 10, 20 years now. Like, we're past it. 3 years ago, I was trying to blow the whistle on surveillance mosquitoes, and that's still not mainstream, but we're way beyond that. The surveillance is literally in the food and drink. I can't say the word on here, but if you know, you know. Literally cameras in like everything, like your treadmill, your TV, and most of them can operate without being plugged in or having a battery. We actually live in a real life Truman Show, and you don't need to be a person of high importance to be watched. I've spent months posting videos of obvious UFOs to be called crazy by everybody, including people in real life, and this UFO hearing comes and goes and people just act like it's normal. Same thing with Flat Earth. We've been getting called crazy for years, and in the past like 24 hours, they casually said that it's flat at a government hearing. Fox News casually mentioned it, and then like Lara Trump is saying it now too. They casually declassify huge lies that they put on, and I don't know if people just don't notice or if they don't care. This is satire for entertainment purposes only. I'm clearly crazy. Don't believe a word I say.
You know what, I wonder, what kind of proof would the masses need to see in order to believe that the Earth is flat? Because I haven't seen any undisputable proof one way or the other. But it definitely seems like a huge topic. You know, people on both sides having strong point of views, kind of like religion or politics?
You've had a very interesting experience with Diddy. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so just yesterday, we had two private investigators, the day before yesterday, go ahead and visit an old residence of mine. They showed up at the door. Now, a friend of mine remains at that residence. She answered the door. These two men were claiming to be there to talk to me about my YouTube channel, whether or not I received funding for any of the stories or topics that I cover on my show. She ended up giving me a call. I was able to speak to these two men as they were at her door. And through lots of probing and asking them several questions about who they work for and why they were at my door, they end up admitting that they are private investigators who are working on behalf of a client that they would not disclose, traveling around to the houses of influencers, knocking their doors and trying to figure out whether or not they've been paid by a certain institution, company, entity to discuss P. Diddy's lawsuits and his connection to other celebrities. Now, upon finding out that I was not paid, they also let me know that had they found out I was paid by a certain company, entity, client, they would offer to pay me to disclose exactly who that was, and they'd like to know the business deal that I made with them in order to pay me more to promote the opposite narrative. So obviously I was taken aback by this visit. Very, very strange.
Hey, so Diddy out here cutting checks for YouTubers, huh? Needing some promotion. This is not going to age well in court, man. That doesn't look good.
In the industry, it is believed that somewhere around 5 years, no one knows exactly, the systems will begin to be able to write their own code. That is, they literally will take their code and make it better. And of course, that's recursive. I thought that is essentially a change in slope. If you're going like this, all of a sudden it goes like that. It's reasonable to expect that within 6 to 8 years from now, so 2030 right after that, maybe 2032, the current growth rate, it will be possible to have a single system that is 80 or 90% of the ability of the expert in every field. So 90% of a physicist, 90% of the best physicist, 90% of the best chemist, 90% of the best artist. When you have such a thing, you have a non-human that is effectively smarter than any human, because no human can dominate all of those fields. Maybe Leonardo da Vinci could, but certainly not now.
When they say don't look up, it means you should probably be looking up. Every day it seems like there's some crazy stuff in the sky, and I have some other things to show you guys in a minute. What would y'all say that this is? We do projections, UFOs, UAPs, angels. I would guess a spiritual entity. The same with this one, but no, they're saying this is the country's new weapon, right? But what's funny is we used to see these in the sky all the time last year, and they said it was SpaceX. So which one is it? Is it a new weapon, or is it SpaceX? Yo, I'm pretty freaking sure that SpaceX is just to cover up the trail and the path flights of fallen angels. I mean, how else would they know when these meteors or devil's comets are coming? By the way, did you guys see the Doomsday skies in Florida the other day? And this happened at the same time the volcano went off, but it also happened at the same time that everything's happening in the east right now. I don't think I've ever seen it so red outside. It has to mean something. And at the same freaking time, almost in Arizona, we had this. I'm telling you guys, something is coming. I don't know when, but I know it is.
Yeah, you know what? Project Bluebeam. Plain and simple.
NASA releases stunning footage. Clearest view of Mars, yet with actual sounds captured 140 million miles away.
Hey, did you catch the tire marks? The little trail? I don't know. It looks kind of like a place on Earth, but it could just very well be Mars. Do you think it's Cap, or do you think it's the real McCoy? Let me know in the comments.
What the hell is that? Do you see this? What the fuck? The sky is purple. What? This is weird. What the fuck is this? I heard that Russia was planning on like throwing a nuke at us or something.
There's no way that we're making
One day I was on Google Earth researching this location named Turskapek in anticipation for my upcoming trip to Croatia. I started scrolling around and looking at the cliffs nearby to see if I could find any other ruins, and I saw this. Tucked perfectly into the cliff was another fort that did not have any label or name on Google Earth. I turned it sideways and you can see how it was just perfectly camouflaged into the cliff face. So I decided to go check it out in person.
Let's go check this out. I mean, to me it makes sense. It makes sense that this was some kind of hill fort. Oh my gosh. There's freaking caves. Well, we are certainly climbing up there.
Oh, j'ai des frissons partout. Gros, j'ai des frissons.
Mec, c'est trop bizarre. C'est quoi ça? Un micro? Mais c'est quoi ce bordel? Non mais... Putain, c'est des réserves, ils partent de là-bas.
Bow Wow said that he is upset, or he feels a way that there's no more Diddy parties. Like he's like almost like he's fiending for the Diddy parties. Like, man, it ain't going down like it was.
Right. So if you can be a person who can show up you can show up to a place, and everybody here is paid to come in here and do what they do, of course you're gonna miss that.
Yeah, man.
You go into a party and everybody is sex worker.
Wow, man.
You can pull anybody you want, male or female, to the bathroom and get a blow.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss that.
What can you give me one celebrity you were surprised to see at a party in a way that you were surprised to see him?
After my first year of being working with celebrities, I figured out what it was. I said, oh, so they all like this. I walked in on a guy in a mascot outfit with another person in a mascot outfit, dry humping in the floor.
That's some funny shit to walk into.
Yeah, when I first seen it, I just walked past. I'm like, what the fuck you got going on? So I go to the refrigerator, I give him, I'm like...
Fully costume.
I don't know, man.
This wasn't a Halloween party. It don't even matter, but...
No, this was March. This was not my birthday.
Spring break.
They call themselves furries.
Sadly, I'm not surprised anymore. And I don't think that there's anything that can surprise me.
A person really lived comfortably to 110, 115.
120 to 140, no question. Yes, 80 is about to be the new 40. We know now so much about cellular physiology and human biology that within the next 5 years, it will be our choice whether or not we want to live to age 120 or 140, or we want to take the opposite route.
One of the things I always say is that I always train for sanity, not so much vanity. Jiu-jitsu and boxing. However, the body doesn't respond the way it used to or the way I like it to.
Chronic pain will wear down the strongest of human beings. What's incredibly powerful is the big data is starting to show that things like exercise are more powerful than SSRIs.
He's talking about living past 100 years old. Depending on the state of the world, it might be pretty cool to live past 100 years old. Let me know what you think.
You hear what's happening with the Vatican? So Vatican today coming out with new guidelines for apparitions, other supernatural phenomenon to explain things that if you see something that is supernatural or an apparition of sorts. Last time they changed the guidelines or fixed them was in 1978. Now they're just redefining the guidelines for what to do when you encounter a supernatural entity. Did you hear about the demon face thing that people are starting to see?
Oh, Josh.
It's been happening with a couple people. They're saying it's where people say that they're starting to see people's faces turn into like demon-like features.
So it's literally like OG Left Behind.
Or the Vietnam night vision goggles. Goggles.
But there's people are saying like, oh, they're just saying that it's a psychological issue, but in fact, the veil is getting thinner, and we're starting to see more and more, and that's why the Vatican's coming out with this stuff to be like,
Or the food has us tripping.
or that.
Turns out they're just British.
Got him!
They just found what on the moon? This is mental. Yeah, don't really have anything else to say. So there's a Chinese rover on the moon at the moment, it's just going around chilling, picking up evidence, gathering footage and whatnot. But today, they picked up something pretty terrifying. They found what appeared to be some kind of cube-like structure. Yeah, a cube-like structure, like, what the hell? Almost like some kind of building, like this is definitely not a rock. And the other thing is, this is absolutely flipping huge. Like, it's not just a tiny little square, it's big. But they've commanded the rover to go over to it and investigate. The only pictures we've got so far is this. And as you can see, it looks almost like some kind of building or something. Or spacecraft, who knows. Over the next couple of days, it's going to keep investigating, and when it gets there, well, who knows what it could find. Make sure you hit that follow button, and yeah, I'll keep you guys updated.
So apparently, these come up. Oh, he just disappeared! He went back down! He went back down! Yeah?
Hey, that's creepy on so many levels, man. Imagine. Wait, don't imagine. That's just creepy, man.
This guy right here is a very known brujo. He's known in the specific part in Mexico called Catemaco. He's one of the most powerful ones, and he's known for taking you to the devil's cave, La Cueva del Diablo.
Oh, okay.
And is the middleman between you and the devil to make a pact. He guides you through the whole process. After a certain time, it's just you and the devil. But there's this one video, and he was talking about the reason why he has stopped doing pacts no more with the devil.
Porque la última vez me llegó un señor con un niño de 4 años y quería pactar, pero él quería ofrendar a ese niño. Un niño que no había vivido su vida. Él no quería control, él lo que quería era avaricia. ¿Qué ritual hace para ofrendar al niño? Lo desmiembra con un cuchillo, con una daga. Esa sangre se lo quitan a los niños cuando ellos están en lo peor del miedo. Cuando tienen esa adrenalina es cuando se les saca la sangre a los bebés, a los niños. ¿Se les saca la sangre mientras están vivos o mientras tienen miedo?
He ended up saying is that you have to drink the child's blood when the child is at the highest peak of fear, and it's some sort of like drug.
Because of the adrenaline that they get.
That energy gets carried on into your body. It's like you feel some sort of high. They'd rather have them, keep them around scared than kill them. This goes on to the whole conspiracy revolving Monsters Inc. Right?
Okay, I think I know where you're gonna go with this, bro.
In Monsters Inc., their whole world, their whole city is powered by what?
Fear.
Coming from who?
The children.
Exactly. They don't kill the children. They keep them around in a constant state of fear and live off of that. And how does the liquid look when it powers up?
Blood.
Then he marries Demi Moore, who drained him of all the adrenochrome she can, and apparently he replenished himself by doing inappropriate things with their daughters. I'm glad. I'm sure you're glad, like Bruce Willis has dementia right now.
The latest bombshell involving Demi Moore is the stuff of tabloid nightmares. Leaked footage, a shady attorney, infamous late-night parties, and underage guests are all wrapped in a twisted bow that might just destroy some of Tinseltown's biggest reputations. Could the truth about the parties behind those heavily guarded gates be darker than anyone ever imagined?
How does Vlad make it on to Pierce Morgan and none of his very nefarious comes up? You're being promoted by child pedo people. You're doing business with child pedo people. You are co-signing child pedo people, and you're not one. That's weird.
A high-profile attorney, Tony Busby, claims to have in his hands video evidence that will change how we look at Demi and the entire Hollywood elite. Now, whether this footage is real or just another wild exaggeration, only time will tell. But let's be clear, if there's even a shred of truth to these claims, Demi's name and career might be about to face their biggest challenge yet.
All of those, while they may have been embarrassing and humiliating, it's what I did to myself because of that.
It's one thing to see a celebrity caught off guard in a scandalous interview, but quite another to hear about their involvement with notorious gatherings where secrets are buried so deep, no one expected them to ever be unearthed.
Club Shay Shay, yeah. I was trying to do something there that hadn't been done. I thought that I had figured out the algorithm mathematically, and I thought that I could show that. And when I wrote it out to kill the careers of the people I was talking about, right? But it was so vicious that I erased all of the knockout blows and just left the jabs, so that the comic I'm talking about knows that I know your real story, motherfucker. I'm gonna tell this, but you know what else I know. So, yeah, I was...
Do you want to tell any of those stories now?
Well, I'm saying...
He could have, I'm assuming it could have been the career.
There's a possibility that you might hear the haymakers very, very soon.
Uh-oh. Well, it's one thing. As long as I ain't in there, I'm good. Long as I ain't in there, we good.
Yeah. But he said he wrote it. I can tell you this. He's been writing more material.
Yeah. I don't know where he get his information from, but he be spot on.
January the 3rd, 2025 is right around the corner. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Hey, what happened on January 3rd?
That was the first edition of Katt Williams when it released.
I'm gonna have my popcorn ready.
Footage has been released of a Diddy party that he threw for Meek Mill's birthday in 2014, and it has some pretty disturbing details. Now, right after this, Meek went off on X/Twitter, so I'll give you a quick rundown of the article, and then I'll show you what he said. So this party featured women dancing in masks, sushi served on a naked model, and Diddy paid $25K for this mansion just for that night. The property manager said that there were broken bottles, used condoms, bloodstained sheets, and even white powder residue. He described the cleanup as disgusting. He also said that Diddy's team requested double-sided locks on the bedroom doors and to be left unlocked for the guests' arrival, with 2 key sets to be given to Diddy and no one else. Requesting new locks, double-sided locks for bedrooms, and the only person that has the keys is Diddy is absolutely crazy. So Meek tweeted going off on these articles saying that it wasn't even a puff party, it was weak stories. He started asking ChatGPT who owns all of these news sources, and he said none of them are American. He said that there's a lot of negativity. He said, look at this Vibe magazine, there's a video of nothing. He said that he got too powerful, so the media is targeting him. I didn't understand a lot of the things he was saying, but it looks like he felt the need to defend himself.
Try to press up on Trump, but you could never get to him.
Yeah.
Because he had ex-FBI agents all around him?
All the time. And I tried a couple of times to press him and make arrangements where I could work with him and on with him. I did that with other big contractors. I had the power of the unions. I could do all kinds of little things, but I couldn't get to him. He wouldn't bite. He just wouldn't bite. He didn't want to do anything like that. And there was layers of people in the middle. One of my guys said, we'll go up to the office. I said, we'll go up to the office. Everybody around him is an ex-FBI agent. We'll go up to the office, we'll get cuffed, and we'll go right to prison. So forget about Trump. He's a legitimate guy. He don't want to do it. Forget about Trump.
Yeah.
The fact that Trump was trying to avoid that situation speaks volumes on what type of time the mob's on.
is highly involved and has been so for years. This is a woman who does not like children, no matter what she tells you. And guess what? It makes sense to me because her mentor didn't like children either. In fact, her mentor didn't even believe in childhood. You know who her mentor was?
Is that the John guy?
Maya Angelou.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Maya her views on interracial relationships.
First, I'm Miss Angelo.
Miss Angelo?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not Maya. I'm 62 years old. I have lived so long and tried so hard that a young woman like you or any other you have no license to come up to me and call me by my first name.
Who was that? I never heard of that.
Dr. Maya Angelou, the author of I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings and all of that, yeah. Also a grand.
What was her relation with the ties with this doctor and John of God? Or is there any connections to that?
She's got a lot of ties with a lot of doctors. You know, the thing that bothers me most when it comes to Oprah is the way she went after Michael Jackson. That was in really poor taste.
Now, would I be surprised if an Oprah documentary pops out of the woodwork? Nah, probably not. Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books. I appreciate you guys for stopping by yet again and watching another one with me. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me. Smash the subscribe button, join the iTrack fam, and I'll definitely catch you on the next one.